This is where I make, I won't say grown men cry, but this is where I make classic space fans cry. And honestly, I get it, because there are purists out there that would never, ever, ever, ever modify Lego. And I understand that. That's their way of handling their hobby. This is how they do their hobby. I do my hobby slightly differently. And I'm not a hack and slash guy. I don't want to be what's his name slash, I think it was in Toy Story 1, where he just completely wrecks his toys and just kind of transmorgifies them into like just the most stuff. But as I had other videos talk about, even as a young kid, we used to tape paper to Lego creations to add details. And when I got a little older, there was some amount of, and forget Lego Wars. I mean, Lego Wars, I mean, we blew up stuff. Not too much, but we did wreck a few bricks in that making of Lego Wars. But I don't think I really got into modding Lego at all until really the Lifelights kits came out. And again, you can use Lifelights extensively without modifying one single brick. I don't. I want spotlights. I want lights on the landing pads. But this is how I modify my Galaxy Explorer and straight up try to modify as few bricks as possible. But you have to modify bricks if you want everything you want lit up. Now, the advanced kit comes with 8 ports on it, and you can see there's an advanced kit right in the middle here. It comes with 8 ports on it for lights, and there's a sheet that comes with the advanced kit that tells you what things you have to do. Now, Jeffy just did a video on this too, so I'm not going to go over the same stuff. But there's about 25 different options you have on the advanced kit to make the 8 lights flash. I would say almost as much the different ways as you want. And if there's something that it doesn't do, I don't know, contact the creator. I can't think of anything I would want it to do that it's not doing out of those 25 different options. So in I think I've wired up at least 3 or 4 Galaxy Explorers now. And it got easier after the first one. And the first one, I don't want to use the word hack and slash. I did a lot of modifying, and then I realized that I didn't have to. I could build the Galaxy Explorer slightly differently, so I could run the wires through the Galaxy Explorer without wrecking a lot of pieces, basic pieces, plates and bricks and stuff. But still, to get the light to where you want it to be, like I wanted these pips lit up. These are marker lights, like a plane. I also do the red and green for starboard and port. So that's something. And so you'll see red here and red there and green there and green down there, instead of red, green, green. Over here, I think, yeah, so this is the original green on top and red on the wings. Your mileage may vary. You guys do what you want. So, this is a whole story behind it. I got this Galaxy Explorer in a lot, I don't know if this year or last year. And then when I was building it, I substituted the best parts I had in my collection, without extensively checking through my collection, but I found all the non-yellow gray parts and blah, blah, blah. And so this is, I won't say my mintest Galaxy Explorer, but it's pretty good. But back to this guy, which I modified a gazillion years ago. I think this was my first mod. And this is also my Galaxy Explorer. Somebody did years ago a crashed Galaxy Explorer being fixed. And so you'll notice that there's a gray tail here and there's some gray in here that shouldn't be there. This was on top of my repair bay kind of scantry that would go back and forth. This was before I even started building the tower over there. If you look at some of those videos from 2007, 2008, you'll see this Galaxy Explorer sitting on top of a landing pad with a gantry going back and forth with repair arms on it. I always liked that. It was a quick little build using an RCX that moved the gantry back and forth. But I decided to light this up to add to the in-universe look of it. So anything that I could light up, I lit up. So the 2 red 1x1 round bricks, the marker lights on the top and on the wings. And what else was there? That's 4. Well, that's 6. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 7 and 8 you can see down there. So those are the 8 lights. And then if you just buy a basic kit, then it's just lit up and the lights don't do anything. And of course, you could buy a basic kit now with Rob Hendricks LEDs themselves that flash. I already talked about it in the previous video. But then they don't flash in sequence and they don't flash in any kind of pattern. They just kind of flash. Which is fine. If you want that, it's cheaper than buying an advanced. And a lot less problematic than buying, well, the advanced is not problematic at all, but you have to program it. So, but because the lights have to flash in a specific sequence, so what I wanted is I wanted these things on permanently, no flashing at all. And I wanted the lights inside the cab or inside the cockpit to stay on permanently, so they're just on. But I wanted the marker lights, the 4 marker lights, to flash like an airplane, like the Enterprise and Star Trek. And if you watch the old series, and even I don't know if they actually had the marker lights really noticeable in the Next Generation. I honestly can't remember now. I think they did. But in the original series, there are really big bulbs on each side of the primary hull, like right in the edge, 90 degrees to the central line of the Enterprise. I always like that. You see in the even the flyby at the beginning, the marker lights in the top and bottom of the primary hull flashing. So that's what I wanted. And the Rob Hendricks Life Lights gives me that option. And the issue is, obviously, if you want to get the light here, and you want to get the light here, and you want to get the light here, right there, you have to do some modifications. Getting it up front was easy. No modifications necessary. You just basically run the wire through. I can't get this thing off now without breaking it. There we go. You run the wire through a little hole that you build. Instead of putting that a 1x8 across, you have a little hole that the wires come through to go to. I used 1x1 headlight bricks sideways, and then the light shines up. So that's what I did there. No drilling, no modification at all. The other thing is the lights that go out to the marker lights on the wings. First, I would hollow it all the way across to the marker light. And I said, why am I doing that? Like, I could just build a gap in the second layer of plates underneath the wing here. Because this wing, this body is 3 plates thick in places. So the center plate, I decided instead of using, I think, 4x10s or whatever's down there, light gray, I would just modify it so there's a hollow 1x hollow all the way across to here. So you can see the wires coming here on this side, and it goes down here, and it goes straight that way. So there's no modifications at all. There's a different brick, so there's a hollow spot to run the wire until you get right to the end where the light is, and that's the only part that's modified, because you have to knock out the stud underneath this thing. First of all, you have to drill a hole in this actual stud. Let me see if I can get this thing off nicely. I know, come on. Which one comes out? This one came off easy. The green always comes off easy. So you can see right there, I had to drill through the stud. And the wire underneath that has to go somewhere. So you have to take out the stud underneath that. So you'll see I have an extra little plate here. That's just so the light you don't see flashing in the ground. So I knocked off the stud where the wire is, and then the rest is fine. So there are quote-unquote some modifications. And of course, even here, they get the light up through. But again, that's just a plate that's modified. And that's a plate that's modified. And back here, yes, unfortunately, well, I'll just take this whole thing off for now. There's a light that comes up through there. And yes, I had to drill a hole through the thruster pack. Yes, I did. Oh, well. And that's basically, so the wire comes up into that plate where I drill a hole. So the plate's modified, so the wire can come up through. And this one piece is modified here. So that's 2 pieces that are modified. 2 that's 4, and then there's 5, 6, 7, 8-ish, maybe 10-ish pieces, and they're plates, and there's no tiles, obviously. There's plates and thrusters. These thrusters, 1x1 with thrusters on them. I modified them. Oh well, they're laid up. I'm happy. So the rest of it's brick built. So I put a little hole between the back compartment and the front compartment to run the wires. And so, yes, it's a little less, I mean, I could fix this, but it's a little less rigid for the cockpit, the hinges, the 1x2 hinge bricks. And then this thing's fine. This is exactly the way it's always been. Let me get on there. And then this piece goes on here. And then we have one fully enclosed Galaxy Explorer without a lot of more modifications. And then this thing will fit right on top here. It will fit right inside, and you can close the door. You can close the back door. Now, let's light it up for a sec. And I'm going to turn off this light because it's really bright. And you can see solid, not flashing inside the cab or the cockpit, and solid. But the marker lights flash, 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 and flash. And they flash in sequence because of the advanced brick. And so let's close it up if I can, because I'm doing it one-handed. I should be able to do it pretty well. Close the gate. Come on. Should have, done something a little different, but whatever. And then this guy closes. And so now the Galaxy Explorer is closed, and we'll turn around. The antennas fell off, which is fine. It happens all the time. There's one antenna, and there's the other antenna. And yes, you can be mad at me because I modified 8 or 10 pieces on the Galaxy Explorer, but now it's lit up. And if I right now turn off the actual system, my layout, the Galaxy Explorer is still lit up, and I think it looks pretty good. So I think I used what's on here? It says 4.4 spacecraft or 4.3 aircraft. One of those has the 4 flashies and the 4 solids on. And so that's what I use. And these are marker lights. Marker. So I'm happy with that. I actually could not be happier with that. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I forgot that piece. Fell off, obviously. And as I say, I've modified 3 or 4. This guy's not modified yet, but he will be modified before my next show. Because all my spaceships, I believe the majority of them are going to be lit up, because I think that adds to the layout. It really does. It adds to the lights out. So if you come back here, let's go to zooming out. You say, I mean, that one's nice, but it's not lit at all. And the lighting of the layout makes it look good with the spotlight on and everything. But that one looks better for me. And it looks better, especially when we can do this. Bingo. And the Galaxy Explorer is still lit up. Not my favorite light up because, not like the Enterprise where it's externally lit and stuff. But in the end, one of my future states, and I will say this, one of my future states, and I did it at a few shows at BrickFet where I had my Easy Up, my 10x10 Easy Up tent canopy, and I was hanging ships from string from the canopy itself, the canopy steel frame itself. That was fun, and I actually hung up a Galaxy Explorer that was lit up. And I think it's 2013. I actually have a video, lights out video showing. And I start on the Galaxy Explorer all lit up, and then I zoom into the rest of the layout. But if I light up all my Galaxy Explorers like this, and all my other ships, my Starfleet Voyagers and my 924s, and blah, 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 even my 918s, it just adds to the overall look of the layout. So this is a better shot. You can see the 1x2 opening where all the wires come in. Again, not modified, just built differently using different bricks. So I honestly do try to rebuild the sets so I can run the wires without doing as much modification as possible. And overall, that building there, hardly any modifications at all, except for the bottom where it interfaces with the power nut. And I showed you that video just a couple days ago where I actually had to take some 2x4 electric plates and solder wires to them to make my connection better. But other than that, I don't think there's any modifications in that building at all. Well, again, you can say, hey, Dave, that trans yellow glass is modified. Yes, that is third party. Even the glass itself. It's not like I modified or I got somebody to Dremel out that thing on the original yellow, trans yellow 6x5 tiles or as glass. Those are actual new glass from my vendor, Jealous Panda. So that's what I do. I mean, I could replace all those with the originals. I wouldn't have the logo on it. And that some of those are scratched. So I do not mind third-party stuff. I do not mind third-party lighting, because you're not going to get, you're definitely not lighting this layout out with layout up with standard Lego lights as much as I'm doing here, you know, like the landing pads and the ships and everything else. And that you're not doing that with standard Lego at all, period. You're not. So don't come at me, bro, for modifying bricks. I'm not gonna tolerate it. I honestly, I got somebody saying I was trashing landing pads here because I was drilling holes in them. These landing pads are, you can't even tell me that these landing pads are trashed. These landing pads have holes in them now that they never had before because they're mine and I'm willing to drill holes in them. But this is as far from trash as I possibly can think of. And I'm going to say this without any, hopefully, any shred of arrogance and personal opinion. But right now, everything here that you see here is lit up by itself. I have no lights on in the room at all, except for what's on the layout. The layout is lighting up itself. That's the whole point of my layout. It lights up itself. And I'm going to say, hopefully it doesn't come across as arrogant. I'm going to say this is without a shred of arrogance. But you're not going to get this for just standard builds with Lego. You're not. I think this is gorgeous. I honestly, God, think that's gorgeous. I think that's beautiful. I think the lights on top are beautiful. I think everything is here is beautiful with the light ups. And with the light ups comes, yes, modifications to get where I want it to be. So I'm sorry if you do not like the idea of modifying Lego. I don't give a rat's patootie what you like about modifying Lego. It doesn't matter a thing. You don't modify your Lego. Do not ever, ever, ever modify your Lego. I support you in that. If you do not want to modify your Lego bricks, you go right ahead and never ever modify them. And I will absolutely love everything you build. This is what I'm building. And I honestly think it's phenomenal. And nobody out there can convince me otherwise, because there's no justification. There is zero justification that you can give me right now to say that, oh, you're trashing these pieces. Go screw yourself. Yes, I'm on a rant. I will not tolerate that. I will not tolerate somebody telling me that I'm ruining my Lego collection. Are you kidding me? This is my Lego collection. I've been collecting for over 50 years now. This is my Lego collection. It's not yours. It's not anybody else's. You do you, and I'll be happy with what you do with yours. This is what I do with mine. I think that's gorgeous. and it's not arrogance. If somebody else built it this way, I would think it's gorgeous. I honestly love this. It's not overdone. It's not over engineered. It's not over whatever. And it's not trashed. It's not, you can't even use the word trash right now in this video. You can't. Honest to God, you can't. I don't think so. Anyway, rant over, and that's how I modify my Galaxy Explorer. As again, modified 8 or 10 pieces. I do like the spotlights. My only concern is I cannot do my nice layout that I used to have with the 2 Galaxy Explorers kind of on a 45-degree angle, because that light standard is there. And I know somebody's gonna say, well, you can move it. I could move it, but I like maintaining consistency across my layout. And I found the best place to actually put the light standards is right in the corner of the landing pad base plate, because that's where the wire comes in. The wire goes into one of the light lights kits underneath the base plate. I will, because the landing pad is slightly higher than the rest of it because there's wires underneath. I am going to take my router onto the wood underneath, and I'm going to route out where the wires are so it sits flat. But that's going to create a lot of dust and mess, and that I have to do it in the garage. And the garage is freezing cold. It's like minus 30 out in the garage right now, so I'm not going to do it now. But there is work afoot, as they say. There is more work coming. So I am happy with what I've done so far on this layout, and I'm very happy on the details that I'm putting on. It's not too many again, so I try to look for standards. So the first thruster sits right on top of the O on the LS01 and the O, and on both of them, so, and they hopefully have the same angle because that makes for a good picture. Hopefully the cockpit canopy is at the same height. And the guy's walking off, and the guy's walking up, and the guy's over here. So just what I would call stupid little details like that, I think really set it off. And the guy's walking back there, the guy's walking over here, the guy's fixing this guy over here. You got the Marines marching in the background. You got my very good friend Simon's little mech over here that he gave me years ago for an exchange for a Unikitty. I think I got the better end of that deal. Thanks, Simon. And another guy over there, another Benny over there doing some doodad fixing. I think all the doodads are being fixed right now, because every time I put a doodad, I put a Benny. So anyway, and there's a Benny right there in the middle. I have fun with this. You cannot tell me this isn't fun. Seriously, this is. I don't know, and I've mentioned this before, I don't know how much fun it was to be on Star Trek the Motion Picture production set at all. I've read lots of stories about it, and I was a voracious reader back then, and because I love Star Trek since I was 4. And I know that the Enterprise took a lot of work to get lit up so it would reflect beautifully on the big screen of 70mm Dolby stereo, whatever. And I know that John Dykstra, I believe it was John Dykstra, before he went over to ILM, worked heavily on the production of getting the Enterprise lit and filmed nicely to be in Star Trek the Motion Picture. And people say it's the most boring scene in the entire movie franchise of everything, of the Kirk Scotty fly around of the Enterprise, except for us Trekkies who think it's like the best. And some people can compare it to a sexual act too, and I don't even listen to them. These people are lost. It was absolutely beautiful, and I get why Robert Wise did that, because honestly, he wanted to show you. And this is a tangent. It's a straight up tangent. The director wanted to show you how freaking big the Enterprise is, which you never got a sense of scale in the original series. Yes, it's 24 decks, and you think about 24 decks, and 24 decks is pretty big. You're in a 24-story apartment building. It's a pretty tall building, and it holds 420 people. At least that's what the original one did. I honestly can't remember what the refit one did, but it's probably pretty much the same. So in universe, the Enterprise is 24 decks tall. You never really got a sense of scope in the original series of how awesomely huge that is. There was somebody back in the 70s, and I got it from, I don't know, from the library or whatever, that did an overlay of the USS Enterprise aircraft carrier, CVN 65, I think it was, with the Enterprise from the TV series on it. And the Enterprise with the TV series on it was basically, quote unquote, the same size as the aircraft carrier. And you look at the aircraft carriers like Top Gun or whatever, and you still don't get a sense of scale of how big the but those aircraft carriers hold 5,000 people. It's a mini city. And the Enterprise holds 420. Yeah, of course, the Enterprise is a lot smaller in volume inside of it than the aircraft carrier was, and probably not hot bucking too much, whatever. But the Enterprise, the original series, is a huge ship, 288 meters. Am I misremembering that? I can't remember now. But it's a massively huge ship. And John Dykstra spent so much time with mirrors and lights to light the thing up for Star Trek the Motion Picture for all the filming. And Robert Weiss wanted that scene, music's gorgeous and everything else, but he wanted that scene to show the audience how frickin' big the Enterprise is. So when it gets out to V'ger, you can see how dwarfed the Enterprise was compared to V'ger. Like, what was it, the V'ger 8 AU? Like, it was massively huge. Like, it was stupid massively huge. Or the Cloud of V'ger was 8 AU or something like that. I think I haven't seen the motion picture in a long time, but I might be misremembering. And some huge power the guy was talking about in that space station has a huge power that's off the grid and couldn't be measured, blah, blah, blah. So there was a purpose for that scene in Star Trek Motion Picture, besides making all us geeks just, have a absolutely beautiful conniption about how gorgeous the ship was. And I think that one scene cemented in my mind why the refit Enterprise is my favorite. And I'm going to say it's not my favorite by a long shot, but it is honestly my favorite by a smidge. By a smidge. Because that up there, the original series, because it's just, and it's more nostalgic than anything else. I love it. So it depends on the time of day and which episode I'm watching, whether or not I like the original more than the one from the movies, the first 6 movies. But everything else after that is also good. I love D. I'm just gonna stop this tangent again. I don't want to waste an hour of your time. 25 minutes is fine. So that's my modification of the Galaxy Explorer, and I love it. I think it's awesome. I'm happy I did it. I'm happy I got it lit up and flashy the way I want it to flash. And as I say, even when it's just by itself, I'm just gonna like sit here. It's good. And I think even that green on that side is really nice. I like putting the green on one side and the red on the other side. Somebody, I can't remember who, years ago on LugNet started doing that, and I think it was a brilliant idea. And I think if all the Galaxy Explorers were lit up like that, them by themselves would be fun. So that guy's next. Because I got another advanced kit today. So guess where it's going. So, anywho, I'm gonna go make a TikTok and then I'm gonna go to bed. So everybody out there, stay safe, take care. I will talk to you soon. If you have any questions about modifying, and I know people don't like to, but if you do, or anything else about this video, drop me a line, say something below. I look forward to speaking with you, and I will talk to you soon.